Comenzamos el bloque informativo en Extra News.
I'm happy to report that we made substantial progress between the United States and China in these very important trade talks. First, I want to thank our Swiss host. The Swiss government has been very kind in providing us this wonderful venue, and I think that led to a great deal of the productivity we've seen. We will be giving details tomorrow, but I can tell you that the talks were productive. We had the vice premier, two vice ministers who were integrally involved, Ambassador Jameson and myself, and I spoke to President Trump, as did Ambassador Jameson last night, and he is fully informed of what is going on. So there will be a complete briefing tomorrow morning. I will turn it over to the ambassador.
Thank you, Secretary. I want to echo the Secretary's remarks with respect to the Swiss government. They've been so welcoming, and they've hosted this, and everything has gone off flawlessly, and we appreciate that. And again, to the Chinese negotiators, Vice Premier Liu He, Vice Minister Li Qiangong, and Vice Minister Liao Min, worked very diligently, and these are very tough negotiators. A couple of them I know from before and have had past interactions with them. And this was, as the Secretary pointed out, a very constructive 2 days. It's important to understand how quickly we were able to come to agreement, which reflects that perhaps the differences were not so large as maybe thought. That being said, there was a lot of groundwork that went into these 2 days. Just to remember why we're here in the first place is the United States has a massive $1.2 trillion trade deficit. So the President declared a national emergency and imposed tariffs. And we're confident that the deal we struck with our Chinese partners will help us to work toward resolving that national emergency.
And I would just conclude with saying it was done in the spirit of cooperation, shared interest, mutual respect, and we look forward to sharing the details with you tomorrow morning.
Director, good morning. This is a week that a lot of Alaskans are paying attention to. Monday was the day that we recognize the missing, murdered Indigenous women and girls Awareness Day. I've just been going through the morning clips. You've been testifying, of course, but this morning, and there's accounts in Anchorage and Juneau and Fairbanks and marches in Nome, all recounting very painful stories that families have endured of their family members that have gone missing. Law enforcement just was not present for a host of different reasons. You and I talked about this prior to your confirmation, and it's something that I have been working on for a period of years now. We've made some good progress under the first Trump administration. There was a focus called Operation Lady Justice, and now I'm pleased to see that we have this expanded to what you're calling Operation Not Forgotten, to look into unresolved violent crimes in Indian country, including cases involving missing, murdered Indigenous persons. I'm looking critically at the budget here and wondering if you can share with me how the budget request, or what we have of it at this point in time, will support this expansion of Operation Not Forgotten. I need to be able to give folks back home the comfort that they need to know that these cases that have gone cold for not just months and years, but decades, will not be dropped, that push for closure will continue. What can you share with me this morning?
Senator, I greatly appreciate you highlighting and being a champion of crimes on Indian country. And just this week, I was the first FBI director in U.S. history to sit down at the Department of Interior with the tribal leaders at the stat level. And I also met privately with the parents of Emily Pike, who was tragically butchered on a reservation in Arizona. And her parents asked me to find the remains, the remaining pieces of her body that have not been returned. She's a 14-year-old girl. She's still missing her arms. They only have her torso. What I told them And what I hope you take back to Alaska and what the rest of the tribal community hears is that every crime in this country will be treated equally. Those that happen on Indian country and those that are happening to Native Americans are just as horrific as are happening in the rest of the world, in the rest of America. And we've already prioritized resources on in our state-level task forces to address these matters, and I asked the staff to allow FBI agents onto the reservations on a more regular basis and engage with them directly. I also invited the community leaders to nominate a law enforcement officer from one of the tribal jurisdictions to sit with me at the Hoover Building in the FBI, so we have a direct engagement with the community. And so we are, just one highlight, I think in Wind River, we executed an operation that took down, I can't remember how many dozens of pounds of fentanyl that was heading to an Indian reservation. So you have my commitment that we will not forget it.
Well, thank you for that broader commitment. As you know, of course, we don't have reservations in Alaska. We don't have the same type of tribal law enforcement presence, so some unique aspects of it. My understanding is that the Alaska field office in Anchorage, along with the two satellite offices that we have, one in Fairbanks and one in Juneau, they have one FBI victim service coordinator to communicate with these families. This has been part of the problem. It's radio silence out of the agency. They don't know whether a case is being pursued. They hear nothing. So I would ask that you look, as you're looking at your budget, to make sure that the FBI does include support for victim service coordinators on this. It's a gap that is missing right now. Very quickly, we also talked about the fentanyl crisis in Alaska. We're the one state that is tragically going the wrong way when it comes to fentanyl deaths. We had a 40% increase in fentanyl deaths in 2023. So you had indicated that you were going to be doing aggressive work here. We need to be doing more, and I've shared that it ought to be easier to intercept drugs coming into Alaska because they come by airplane, they come through the mail, and they occasionally come in by boat. Maybe a little bit driving across through the border. But we've got the ability to do the interception, and right now our numbers are not going down. I just ask for your continued commitment with this. We know we're seeing FBI partnering with ICE for arrests and detentions of immigrants in Alaska. Folks are asking me, they're saying, are we using FBI resources, redirecting them from the fentanyl crisis to perhaps pursuing those who have been targeted immigrants, even though they're not violent criminals. So I'd love to have further conversation with you on some of these Alaska specifics, but we got to start turning that corner on fentanyl.
Yes, ma'am, and I think you know this, and we're sending a plus up to Alaska in part of this movement out to the field, and we'll look to address those specific issues, and I will work with you in your office to make sure that Alaska is not forgotten and that we emphasize it.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Senator Peters.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Director Patel, welcome to the committee here.
Hello, sir.
Director, I've long been a supporter.
Muy pronto, vuelve a escuchar las noticias más relevantes en este canal de noticias.